Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here with Miss Carrie's Creations. Welcome to another week in the Cricut classroom. Today's class is pre-recorded. We're going to be making a Valentine shirt using some iron-on and an SVG that I downloaded from Design Bundles. You can find the links to everything I used on our Cricut Classroom website or in the description below. So I'm going to start out in Windows showing you how to download and unzip the compressed file that you download from Design Bundles. Then I'm going to go into Mac and show you how to do the same thing before we upload this image into Design Space. So if you are a Windows person, you're going to follow the first part. If you're a Mac person, you're going to follow the second part. All right, are we ready? Right now we're looking at my downloads folder, and I have downloaded the file, and it is a compressed or zipped file. So I'm going to go up to extract. I'm going to hit extract all, and it's telling me here that it's going to extract the file into my downloads folder. If you want it to extract to another folder on your computer, you can click Browse and choose what other folder you want it to extract into. I'm just going to leave it in Downloads. Then I'm going to hit Extract, and you're going to see another folder pop up. So now I have two folders, one that's zipped or compressed and one that is unzipped or extracted. It's going to be in the unzipped or extracted folder where you're going to grab your file when you get into Cricut Design Space. All right, now we're going to go into Mac. When you first download the zip file from the website to your Mac, it will appear in your Downloads folder or another folder if you've specified that folder earlier on in your browsers. To unzip the file, you either double-click on it or right-click to go to Open With, followed by Archive Utility, which should be installed on your Mac by default. After it's unzipped, you're going to notice that another folder has been created. This folder has all of the images that were included in the zip folder. You can now look through this folder and find the image that you're going to be using in Design Space, and we'll be opening that design in Cricut Design Space when we go to upload the image. So the next step is to upload the image that you downloaded onto your computer into Cricut Design Space. Here I have a new canvas. I'm going to go over to Upload, then I'm going to click Browse, and I'm going to find that folder where I downloaded those images. So again, I'm here in Windows. Here is that unzipped folder. I'm going to look for the one that is an SVG image. Mine shows up with a Microsoft Edge logo, but we're going to be wanting to use the SVG. Sometimes it says SVG, sometimes it actually says your browser name, but that's how you know that it's an SVG image. It's going to upload into Cricut Design Space. Now I want to name and tag this image. I always add DB for Design Bundles so that I remember where I got the image in case I need to go back and ask for revisions, or in case I mention it on my blog. I want to be able to tell people where I got it. Tags are search terms that you will use in Cricut Design Space. Once you've uploaded this image into Design Space, you're also going to be able to find it in your images. So I always tag with terms that I will use in the search bar under Images. Now that we've named and tagged this image, we can click Save. Here it is in our uploaded images. The last 12 images you uploaded will show up here. The rest will be in your image library. We're going to click on it and click Insert Image. Now I'm taking a look at this image and I'm realizing it may not be a cut file. So if you downloaded this image, you are going to notice the same thing with this SVG. And I'll probably end up writing the company to try to figure out what their intentions were for this, because it did not say that it was a print then cut or a sublimation file. It did say it was a cut file. But when we take a look at that love image and ungroup it, you can see it's kind of an odd file. The two love parts come apart. To me, this means that it's more of a printable image for printable iron-on or sublimation. So I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to upload a different image and take a look to see if maybe the PNG looks different than the SVG. So I've clicked upload image again. I'm going to click upload image and browse that downloads folder. This time I'm grabbing the PNG image instead. It's going to bring this window up. I'm going to click complex and continue. There's really nothing I need to do here because the file's already designed to cut for me. But I am going to click save as a cut image. You can see there's a difference between the print then cut and the cut image. I want the look of that cut image. Again, I do need to name and tag my image, just like we did last time. Once I have done that, I'm going to click save. Because I'm not planning on using the original file I uploaded, I am going to go ahead and delete it. This deletes it from Cricut Design Space. It does not delete it from my computer, so if I decide to go back and use it, I can. Now I'm going to insert the PNG image into my canvas, and let's take a look if this is what we are wanting to use for our design. This is exactly what I was looking for. So now I can insert my template. I'm going to be using a baseball tee. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that baseball tee. Then I'm going to make the adjustments to this baseball tee. It is a women's baseball tee, size extra large. I'm also going to change the background to gray, just so I can see the design a little bit better. My t-shirt is actually white, but I want to be able to see the template here on my canvas. Now I just need to resize the image to fit the front of the t-shirt. Now that I have this size to my liking, I need to change the colors. The love is going to be red and has four paws is going to be black. Since we uploaded a PNG, this image is one solid image. So I'm going to have to make some adjustments to have two colors. We did this in our sign making class. We talked about how to duplicate the image, then use the contour tool to remove the parts of the images in each layer to match the colors of the materials you're going to use. So we're going to start out by duplicating this image. Then I'm going to align center so that the two images are right on top of one another. I don't want to mess up that alignment. Now I'm going to click on one of the layers. I'm going to click contour, and I'm going to remove the images that I don't want in red. Now I'm going to repeat the process with the second layer. This layer is going to be cut from black vinyl. Again, I'm using the contour tool and I'm removing all of the images that are not going to be cut out of black. The next step is to change the material colors. Love will be cut out of a red pattern. Black is going to stay the same. And we're going to go ahead and click Make It. Now at this point I should have mirrored both of these mats, and I completely forgot to do that, but I'm going to show you how to go back and mirror here in a minute. I'm going to select my machine, which is the Air 2, and then I'm going to go ahead and click that little edit icon under the mat and mirror my image because I forgot to do that earlier. We're going to set our material. Since I'm using the Air 2, I've turned the dial to custom. I'm going to click Browse All Materials and choose Everyday Iron-On. I'm going to click on Done, and now Everyday Iron-On has been chosen as my material. It does remind me to make sure to mirror my mat and to place the iron-on material shiny side down. So let's take a look at what that means. Here I have my Cricut mat and a strip of black Everyday Iron-On. One side of the iron-on is shiny. The other side is a matte material. We want to place this shiny side down. The shiny side is a carrier sheet that will help us place this iron-on down onto our project. Now we're going to place the mat into our machine. It will do what's called a kiss cut and only cut through the vinyl on our iron-on. Now we're going to cut out the patterned iron-on material. There's a little drop-down arrow over on the right next to Custom Material Set 2. We're going to click on that down arrow so that we can choose the patterned iron-on. Again, it reminds me to make sure mirror is on, which I forgot, so I need to mirror the images on this mat. And then I'm going to place that patterned iron-on shiny side down onto my cutting mat. Patterned iron-on looks a little bit different. It has a matte finish on the back. So let me unload this black iron-on vinyl, and I'm going to show you how to load the patterned iron-on. Again, it goes shiny side down. That shiny side is a carrier sheet. But as you can see, the black is more of a white or matte color. It reminds me of wallpaper. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and straight and flat. As you can see, I have a little wrinkle there. So I'm just going to go ahead and lift it up, make sure that I have no wrinkles. And then I'm going to place this right into my machine. So now we finished cutting. I'm going to click the Finish button and I'm going to save my project. Templates do not save in your project file. So here's a little tip for you. When I save a project where I used a template, I always add the template name in parentheses after the name of the file. So when I load this back in to my canvas, I can bring in the template that I used, knowing that it's going to fit on that particular project. All right, so now we're going to weed our vinyl. Here I just have a weeding hook. I'm going to pick up one of the corners and I'm going to be pulling off the excess vinyl from the carrier sheet. Everyday vinyl is a little bit stretchy, so you want to be careful that you don't pull off any of your images or stretch or distort them. That will make a mess of your project. After I've removed the excess vinyl around the images, then I'm just going to go in and remove all of the tiny little bits and pieces in between the letters. My patterned iron-on was a full 12 by 12 sheet, and I don't want to waste any of the uncut iron-on. So I've grabbed my paper cutter, and I'm going to remove any of the excess that has not been cut. Now, it's very hard for you to see on camera, but I can see where that love has been cut. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess and save it for later. You weed patterned iron-on the same way that you weed everyday iron-on vinyl. It does have a little bit different weight and texture. Every iron-on vinyl has a little bit of a different weight, and it peels differently from that carrier sheet. So no matter what vinyl you're using, you just want to be careful that you're only peeling off the excess, not any of your image. These are going to be ironed onto the shirt in 2 different steps, but I want to make sure that I have as much of the carrier sheet trimmed off as possible. And when I go to iron on the shirt, you're going to understand why I did this. So I'm just placing these onto my paper cutter, very carefully so that I don't cut off any of the iron-on image. And I'm just trimming off as much of that excess carrier sheet as possible. All right, now we're going to get ready to iron on these images onto our t-shirt. The first thing I need to do is check out the Cricut heat guide online and determine what temperature I need to set my heat press. So here I am on my website looking at the heat guide. I am going to be using a Cricut Easy Press, so I'm going to click on that. We're going to be using two heat transfer materials, so I need to take a look at both of them. The Everyday Iron on Cotton Poly Blend is going to be set at 315. When we scroll back up and take a look at the Patterned Iron on Poly Cotton Blend, this temperature is set at 340. I always want to apply the iron-on with the highest temperature setting first. So here's my heat press. I'm going to hit the on button. I'm going to click the temperature key, and then I'm going to click the plus button. Now I didn't quite press that temperature key hard enough, so I need to press it again. The timer is going to be set to 30 seconds. And then I'm going to click that little Cricut icon so that the heat press starts heating up. Here's a little trick that I use to help me place my iron-ons right in the center of my shirt. I've folded my shirt in half, and I'm going to create a little crease in the center of my shirt. This is going to disappear once I iron it on, so I don't need to worry a whole lot about it, but it does help me with the placement of my image. You can see that crease right there down the middle of my shirt. I'm also going to fold my image in half. So I'm just going to create a crease in the carrier sheet, and then I'm going to match up the two creases. I always go about 3 inches down from the neckline. Depending on how large you are in the front as a woman, you may want to hold that image up and determine where a good placement is for specific images. But for me, it works to go about 3 or 4 inches down from the neckline. Again, I've just matched up the two creases, and then I'm going to place my heat press down on one half of the image, click the timer to 30 seconds, and click the little Cricut icon. So 30 seconds is going by pretty quick here. Isn't that awesome? Once that beeps, I'm just going to go to the other half of the iron-on, click the Cricut icon again, and heat it for another 30 seconds. So now I need to determine the temperature for the Everyday iron-on. I'm going to go back to my heat guide. I'm going to scroll up, choose Everyday Iron-On on a Cotton Poly Blend. I'm using a Cricut Easy Press mat, and it needs to be set to 315. So I'm going to grab my Easy Press, click the temperature button again, the minus key, and go down to 315, and set that aside until it cools down to the temperature I need it to be. Remember how we trimmed off the carrier sheet? That was so that I could place this bottom image below the love title without having any overlap of the carrier sheet. So now that my heat press is ready, I'm going to place it down on one half of the image, heat it up for 30 seconds. Then I'm going to go to the other half of the image, heat it up for 30 seconds. And now I'm going to flip over my shirt, and I'm going to heat the images again on the back side. This is something that Cricut recommends for all of their iron-on, and I have found that it works for every iron-on to ensure that it has a nice, good adhesion to your project. So each one of these are going to be set to 30 seconds. I'm just going to be moving the heat press to 4 different sections of my project each time. Like I said, set at 30 seconds. Thank goodness that I can fast forward this video. Once I have heated the back side of my project, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to check that heat guide to see if this is a cool peel or a warm peel. So it says this is a cool peel. That means I have to be patient and wait for the iron-on to cool. If I peel it too quickly, it's not going to have adhered to my project. Warm peel means that I can peel it once it's warm, not while it's still hot. Cool peel means I need to just go grab a cup of coffee and I need to wait until I can touch this and not feel any heat radiating from the project. So I've had my cup of coffee. I'm going to come back. It's nice and cool. And now I can peel off the carrier sheet from the front of the shirt. This comes off nice and clean. I like to go slow just to double check that none of the parts got missed. If they did, then I just bring my heat press back over. I heat it back again, and then I again have to wait for it to cool. All right? Sometimes it takes a little bit of patience. But all of these adhered really well to the front of the shirt, and we have an adorable Valentine's shirt that I plan on wearing this week. So how cute is that? I love using that patterned iron-on. It just turns out so cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's project. To be a part of this group. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I can't wait to see what you create.